Fox now justifying ethnic cleansing in the most blatant ways possible.
This population in Palestine is hostile, it's uneducated.
Literally wrong. The Palestinian population is more educated than the Israeli population on average. Just incorrect. The Palestinian population has a higher educational retainment per capita, a higher rate of college educated people than the Israeli population has. It's just a lie, a racist lie.
It's even more radicalized than they were at the beginning of this. I mean, now they have no homes at all. They're even more hateful of the Israelis. And their birth rate is explosive. The average Palestinian woman has 5.5 babies. The average Israeli woman has only 2.5 babies. So demographically, they're a threat, not to mention the national security.
This is an insane thing to state. Like, this is just pure Nazi shit. I don't know how else to cover this. It's just pure Nazi sentiment. He said that their population is explosive. They're just having too many children. It's a demographic issue. Yeah, how do you deal with that? You just, forcibly sterilize them, I guess.
Woman has only 2.5 babies. So demographically, they're a threat, not to mention the national security threat. There is no way you can have these two peoples living side by side.
I don't think Kamala would have said these things. Hey, who was it that said Trump and Kamala would be the same for Palestine? Yeah, dude. You do realize that Kamala Harris lost because she wouldn't separate herself from Joe Biden on any issue, even the least popular one, which was Israel-Palestine. And that is the reason why Trump won. You recognize that, right? I like that this is an opportunity for you to say, who would say that Kamala and Trump are not the same as one another? First and foremost, the Biden administration, which Kamala Harris also aligned with, okay, she was the vice president after all and refused to separate herself from the Biden administration, also actively tried to quietly push forward the exact same Trump agenda of ethnic displacement. They did do that. They actually actively tried to get regional partners in Jordan and Egypt to take on hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Okay? They tried to do that. Just because they were masquerading in like better propaganda, making it seem as though they were trying their very best to do something that's very different than Donald Trump, doesn't change that reality. Having said that, I didn't say Kamala Harris and Donald Trump would be the same on Israel anyway. I have long maintained the position that American foreign policy is uniparty and the Republicans only make it more right-wing. And then the Democrats come in and don't actually reverse those decisions because American foreign policy at the end of the day is still uniparty. Perhaps the greatest evidence of this was Joe Biden coming in after Donald Trump and not overturning any of the Abraham Accords, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, the permanent annexation of Syrian territory and Golan Heights for Israel. And then who could forget the past 16 months of genocide that came directly because Biden did not offer Palestinians an exit ramp or any sort of recognition whatsoever in the 3 years that he was president. And on the 4th, obviously, October 7 happened. The only difference in this process is the aesthetics. The Democrats act as though they have some semblance of, some veneer of caring about the international rule-based order. That's it. That's it. The optics are different. They try to do their very best to present a falsehood. The rhetoric is different. But I guess that's enough for many of you. Like when Donald Trump, Fauci type crash out 20 minutes ago, crash outs, what are you talking about? When Donald Trump talks about how Gaza is leveled, who was overseeing the leveling of Gaza? Is the question one must ask themselves. Who? You think the Democrats would be proposing to move the Palestinians out of Gaza? I'm not thinking that. I'm saying that the Joe Biden administration also tried to do that. The only difference is Donald Trump says the quiet part out loud. Okay? What are you talking about? The Associated Press reported on it. Also, even without the Associated Press reporting on that dealing from the Biden administration, how did the bombs get there? Who bombed Gaza? Why is Gaza completely leveled? I'm so confused. Like, are we actually trying to do harm reduction arguments between what the most effective ways of doing genocide is? Is it better to just like do mass forcible ethnic displacement? But we would not be in a position where everyone is fearing that Trump is literally going to ethnic cleanse Palestine. Okay. Chatter. I'm going to try to explain something to you. Under the Biden leadership, the ethnic cleansing campaign had already started. Okay? And the Biden administration kept giving more and more weapons and never actually stopping the Israeli government in their ethnic cleansing campaign. They also purposefully looked the other way when there were numerous State Department controlled agencies that reported what the NGOs and humanitarian organizations were reporting from the ground in terms of Israel violating international rights, engaging in a litany of war crimes, actively doing a genocide. They looked the other way. They buried the information that was presented to them so they could continue Israel's genocidal campaign. Okay? The notion that there is a significant difference here is idiotic. You are literally saying which type of ethnic cleansing is better. That's what you're being forced to choose. Okay? Is it better when we destroy all of the buildings and kill people and have them die under the rubble, or is it better that we kill them when they refuse to leave? You're confused. Gaza got leveled and starved these past 2 weeks, not the past year. Exactly. I guess for you, the major difference is you don't want to hear about it. Or rather, the Democrats at least were able to make you feel better about the genocide, because they kept lying and saying there are red lines. They kept lying and saying that they're working tirelessly around the clock for a ceasefire. Okay? It does not make sense. The worst part about it, from your standards, also, if you are interested only in team sports and nothing else, is that it would have been beneficial for Kamala Harris to actively communicate a different perspective on Gaza, to actively separate herself from the Biden administration. It would have been electorally beneficial for her, but due to her loyalty and due to her interest in maintaining the current administration's foreign policy goals, she did not do that. And she didn't do that, and she lost. So even if you want to talk about this from a purely partisan perspective, she could have done things. Even if it was a lie, she could have still at least had the decency to lie to the American public. They didn't even want to lie. Trump at least lied, by the way. I mean, it was obvious that he was lying. I reported on it at the time. I told you that there was no way that Donald Trump, who got $100 million from Miriam Adelson, was going to actually deviate away from the pro-Israel position. But at least he fucking went to Dearborn and was like, oh, falafels, it's great. I love you guys. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end all of it. Democrats literally didn't even lie to the American public when it was electorally beneficial for them. That's crazy. They actively turned around and said, no, we don't want you in the party. We don't want you to vote for us. We're going to win without you. They didn't even want to fucking play politics. It's crazy. Anyway. So the notion that like, oh man, well, you got what you deserved, pro-Palestinians or whatever, is an idiotic thing to say, especially because I also said Donald Trump would take it one step further than the Democratic Party for sure in terms of West Bank annexation. Okay. And that it was, I never said that Donald Trump was pro-Palestinian and said the exact opposite. But the very fact that the Democratic Party lost a decent chunk of the Muslim voters to a guy that did the Muslim ban, that used Palestinian as a slur, as a pejorative, is insane to me. How can you look at the situation and not get mad at the Democratic Party? How can you look at the situation and go, we have to never run campaigns like this ever again? You explain it like it's your fault Kamala couldn't voice her support for genocide loud enough for certain liberals. Yeah. Why even argue? Who doesn't get that there is a genocide in Gaza since Biden is lost? Yeah, it's not my fault, but it doesn't matter. People have horse blinders on, and they're desperately looking to attack anyone and everyone they can. And the new meta from a lot of like extremely online liberals is to say, oh, Hassan is the reason why Kamala Harris lost. It makes no sense, but it's a comfortable narrative for a lot of people so that they don't have to look at the Democratic Party and say, oh man, they are the reason they lost this all on their own.